Time is not a thief. It is a teacher. And yet, as we age, many of us feel as though time is running out, slipping through our fingers like water. In the rush of life, with responsibilities piling up, regrets surfacing, and the quiet ache of things unsaid or undone, we often wonder, have I missed something essential? Have I lived deeply, or merely existed? The Buddha, over 2,500 years ago, offered a simple but profound truth: better than 100 years lived in ignorance, without contemplation, is one single day lived in wisdom and meditation. This teaching reminds us that the value of our life is not measured in years, but in awareness, in the clarity of each moment truly lived. In today's video, we will explore 6 transformative Buddhist truths that can help you reclaim the time you still have. These truths are not abstract doctrines. They are deeply practical paths toward peace of mind, spiritual growth, and a life of quiet contentment. Whether you are navigating the challenges of aging, seeking emotional clarity, or simply yearning for a more mindful way of living, these teachings can guide you gently home to yourself. From the power of patience and the beauty of simplicity to the redefining of love and the strength of quiet kindness, we will walk the middle way together. This is not about escaping time but awakening within it, finding in each breath a chance to begin again. So take a deep breath. Let go of what cannot be changed. And open your heart to the possibility that the years ahead may hold more peace than the years behind. The Buddha's wisdom is timeless, and it is never too late to begin. Let us begin with our first reflection: why rushing through life often leads us away from ourselves, and how patience becomes power. To understand this deeply, listen to an old Zen story. Long ago in a small mountain monastery, a young monk named Ryokan was known for his restlessness. He wanted to reach enlightenment quickly. He rushed through prayers, skipped over his meals, and hurried from one task to the next. One day, frustrated with his lack of progress, he went to visit an elderly Zen master who lived in seclusion under a cherry blossom tree. When Ryokan arrived, out of breath and impatient, he asked, "Master, please tell me how to attain enlightenment quickly. I am losing time." The old monk smiled and said nothing. He slowly poured 2 cups of tea. Then, wordlessly, he handed one to Ryokan. The young monk took the cup, fidgeting as he waited for wisdom. Minutes passed in silence. Petals drifted through the air. Finally, Ryokan burst out, "Master, aren't you going to teach me something?" The elder looked up and replied gently, "I just did. You were too busy waiting to notice." In that quiet moment, something shifted in Ryokan. He realized the lesson was not in the words, but in the stillness. That simple act, waiting for tea to cool, was the teaching itself. The wisdom of patience cannot be grasped by rushing, it must be experienced through presence. This story mirrors our own lives. We move quickly, through conversations, meals, responsibilities, even our rest, believing the faster we go, the more we'll accomplish. But the Buddha called this restlessness tanha, or craving. It is the deep dissatisfaction that drives us from the present into the imagined relief of the next moment. We run, hoping to outrun discomfort, regret, or emptiness. Yet no matter how fast we go, we cannot escape ourselves. When we rush, we live on the surface of life. We skim past the profound beauty that only slowness reveals, the grace of aging hands, the comfort of silence, the richness of simply being. Patience, or Khanti in Pali, is one of the great virtues in Buddhism. It is not passive waiting, but powerful awareness, the calm ability to remain present even when life is imperfect. Patience is not weakness. It is strength rooted in clarity. It is the willingness to feel discomfort without needing to change it, to experience time without controlling it. When you walk slowly, breathe deeply, or speak only after a moment of silence, you're practicing more than stillness, you are reclaiming your life. This is especially vital as we grow older. Many people speak of how fast the years seem to go by. But this is not because time moves faster, it is because we move faster. We skim through our days instead of living them. But when we slow down, time opens up. A single moment, fully lived, becomes eternal. Consider the monk who walks barefoot in the forest, taking hours to travel a path you or I might complete in minutes. His pace is not inefficient, it is wise. He is not trying to get somewhere. He is already there. In that same way, each of us can return to ourselves by slowing down. In the stillness of patience, there is healing. The mind softens. The body relaxes. The heart remembers what matters. To begin, you don't need to change your whole life. You only need to notice one breath. Listen fully to one sentence. Chew one bite of food without distraction. These small acts invite you back into your life. They say, you are here. You have not missed it. Patience transforms time. It turns aging from fear into grace, and each passing day into a sacred teacher. In the calm presence of Kanti, you begin to see that peace was never in the hurry, it was always in the stillness waiting underneath. Like Ryokan beneath the cherry tree, we awaken not by racing ahead, but by learning to wait for the tea to cool. Now, we gently arrive at lesson 2, the hidden richness of simplicity and why less might just be more than enough. In a world that constantly urges us to want more, buy more, do more, and be more, it can feel strange, even radical, to consider that perhaps true joy is not found in addition, but in subtraction. But there is wisdom hidden in simplicity, a kind of peace that complexity often clouds. To explore this, let me share a true story from the quiet hills of Vermont. A woman named Claire Walker, once a successful interior designer in New York City, found herself burnt out by the endless cycle of achievement and acquisition. Her days were filled with large projects, luxury clients, and deadlines that stole her sleep. One morning, after missing her father's funeral because of a last-minute work obligation, something in her shifted. She returned to her childhood home in Vermont for a short break, hoping to rest, but she never went back. Instead, Claire sold her Manhattan apartment, gave away 80% of her belongings, and moved into a small one-bedroom cabin with a wood stove, a reading chair, and a single window overlooking a meadow. Her friends were shocked. "Don't you miss the city? The lights? The excitement?" they asked. But Claire found something far greater in the silence of simple living, peace. "I had built a beautiful life on the outside," she wrote in her blog, "but I was starving inside. It wasn't until I let it all go that I finally felt full." She now spends her days tending a garden, writing poetry, and sharing mindful living advice with others who feel overwhelmed. Her story echoes a deep Buddhist truth, that the craving for more, tanha, often leaves us emptier, not fuller. The Buddha taught that freedom arises not by adding more to our lives, but by letting go of the unnecessary. In simplicity, we begin to see clearly. Simplicity doesn't mean poverty. It means clarity. When our spaces are uncluttered, our minds begin to mirror that stillness. When we stop chasing so much, we begin to notice what has always been here: sunlight on the floor, the taste of warm tea, the presence of a loved one. Less becomes a doorway to enough. We begin to understand that joy does not depend on how much we have, but on how deeply we live with what we already have. Think of the Zen monks who own only a robe, a bowl, and a mat, and yet radiate a contentment that billionaires often seek in vain. Their joy comes not from owning, but from being. In our own lives, we don't need to become monks to practice this. We can begin by asking, what can I let go of? A shelf full of untouched clothes, a calendar packed with draining obligations, a mind burdened with comparisons. When we release these weights, we create space, for rest, for joy, for peace. And from that space, something beautiful emerges: appreciation. We begin to treasure the quiet evening walk, the sound of rain, the warmth of a shared meal. Life slows down, not in laziness, but in gratitude. Simplicity teaches us to be present, to savor. As we age, this truth becomes even more precious. We begin to see that our time, not our things, is the real currency. And the more we simplify, the richer our days become. Instead of chasing after life, we begin to receive it. Claire's story is not about escape, it is about return. Return to herself, her roots, her breath. And in your own way, you can return too. You don't need to move to Vermont or give away everything. You only need to pause and ask, what matters now? What is enough, truly? Let that answer guide you. For in the quiet wisdom of simplicity, less is not lack, it is liberation. And that liberation may be the most abundant thing of all. Now we gently open the door to Lesson 3, how to stop measuring your worth by age, and start embracing the gift of presence, a lesson that touches the hearts of many who quietly wonder whether time has taken more than it has given. In today's world, where youth is celebrated and aging is often hidden away, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that as the years pass, our value fades. We begin to measure our self-worth by the number of birthdays behind us, comparing our lives to others, worrying about what we should have achieved by now, or mourning the energy, beauty, or opportunities we believe we've lost. But Buddhism offers a gentle reminder. You are not your age, your wrinkles, or your timeline. You are a living, breathing presence, and this moment is always enough. The Dhamma does not ask how old you are, it only asks how aware you are. When we live in the present, we step outside the illusion of time. There is no too late or too early in presence, there is only now. And now is where life truly unfolds. The Buddha never taught that aging was a flaw, he taught that it was a teacher. Each stage of life carries its own wisdom. The young have speed, but the mature have depth. The young look ahead, but the wise begin to look within. As long as you're here, breathing, you still carry the ability to grow, to love, to serve, and to awaken. Instead of clinging to who you were or who you think you should be, Buddhism invites you to meet yourself as you are, fully, kindly, without judgment. In that meeting, there is freedom. You do not need to prove your worth by your accomplishments or the smoothness of your skin. Your worth is intrinsic, untouched by age. Embrace each breath as proof that life still flows through you. Feel the air, notice your steps, and listen deeply. This is presence, and presence is timeless. Aging is not a decline, but a deepening. When you stop fighting time, you begin to walk with it. And in that walking, you may find a peace that youth could never offer. Let go of the belief that you are behind. There is no universal clock to follow, no race to win. The mind will tell you that you've missed out, that others are ahead, but those are just thoughts, not truths. What is true is this: your life is happening now, not in the past or the future, and every moment you spend comparing yourself to some imagined standard is a moment lost to the beauty that already surrounds you. Step back from the mirror and step into awareness. This moment, right here, is complete. You are not running out of time, you are returning to yourself. With each conscious breath, you begin again. And in that beginning, there is no age, only aliveness. So take your time. Be here now. And let presence, not age, be your measure of worth. We now arrive at Lesson 4, a transformative redefinition of love in later life, not fiery, but enduring, a reflection on a kind of love that doesn't roar with passion, but instead endures with presence, patience, and quiet strength. Many of us grew up with stories of love filled with urgency, intensity, and romance that consumes. But as years pass, we often begin to realize that real love, the kind that matters in the long run, is not always explosive, it is steady, grounding, and deeply human. In youth, love often feels like a fire that burns brightly, but in later life, it becomes more like glowing embers, warm, lasting, and capable of withstanding the winds of time. It is in this phase of life that love takes on its most profound form. This truth is beautifully reflected in the story of Robert and Helen, a couple from Ohio who had been married for over 50 years. In their early days, their relationship had all the excitement of youth, long phone calls, spontaneous road trips, and candlelit dinners. But time, as it does, brought its own tests: job losses, family illnesses, raising 3 children, and eventually, the quieting of passions into routines. Many would assume the spark had faded. But what they shared had grown into something deeper. After Helen suffered a stroke at 74, Robert became her full-time caregiver. Every morning, he helped her dress, brushed her hair, and read her favorite books aloud even when she could no longer respond in words. When asked why he continued with such dedication, Robert said simply, "Because I still see her. And I promise to love all of her, then, now, and later." This is the love Buddhism speaks of, not attachment, not craving, but metta. Loving kindness that is patient, compassionate, and enduring. In later life, love is no longer measured by grand gestures or physical attraction. It is measured in small, sacred moments: making tea for someone without being asked, remembering how they like their pillow fluffed, holding hands while sitting in silence. This love is not about possession or need, it is about presence. It is the kind of love that watches a partner sleep with quiet gratitude, knowing that companionship itself is a rare blessing. Buddhism teaches that true love begins when the ego ends. In younger years, we often seek love to complete us, to fill a void. But as we grow older and turn inward, we find that love isn't something to chase, it is something we become. We embody loving kindness in how we listen, in how we forgive, and in how we remain when it's easier to walk away. The fiery passion of youth may fade, but what emerges is a sacred warmth that does not flicker with circumstance. It is love rooted in mindfulness, a love that sees, accepts, and stays. In fact, many who experience love in later years describe it as more honest and fulfilling, because it is chosen, not driven by impulse. It is a love where 2 people sit across the dinner table, not needing to speak, yet feeling more connected than ever. And even for those without a partner, the wisdom of age invites us to extend this love inward. You learn to befriend yourself, to offer gentleness to your own aging hands, your changing face, your past regrets. This too is love, the kind that brings peace. So whether your later life love is shared with a partner or cultivated in solitude, let it be a love that does not hurry or demand, but simply abides. Let it be a love that is not loud, but unwavering. And if the world tells you that love belongs only to the young, remember Robert and Helen, remember the brush of a hand, the sound of a whispered, "I'm still here." In that soft truth lies the most powerful kind of love, not fiery, but enduring. Let us now reflect on Lesson 5. The truth about change, how one small choice in the present moment can reshape everything, a teaching that reminds us that transformation rarely comes with a loud knock or a dramatic shift, but instead through quiet decisions made in the stillness of now. We often think change must be monumental to matter: a new job, a move across the country, a complete reinvention. But Buddhism teaches that change begins with the smallest spark, a single breath, a pause before reacting, a gentle redirection of attention. One step taken mindfully today can alter the entire course of your life. This truth became remarkably clear in the story of Marcus Fields, a former construction worker from North Carolina. For years, Marcus lived a life many would consider ordinary: hardworking, dependable, yet burdened by stress, chronic back pain, and a sense of emotional numbness that seemed to thicken with age. He often said, "This is just how life is," accepting his discontent as inevitable. One evening, after another argument with his adult son over something trivial, Marcus stood alone in the kitchen, staring at his calloused hands. In that moment, something softened. Instead of slamming a door or muttering curses as he usually would, he sat down, took a breath, and chose silence. That one small pause, one breath, became the first conscious choice he'd made in years that wasn't reactive but intentional. The next day, he searched for a local meditation group and began attending weekly sessions. Over time, his anger started dissolving. His relationship with his son shifted from tension to mutual understanding. He began walking slower, listening more, and even started journaling before bed. People around him noticed that he no longer carried that hard edge of bitterness. Marcus often says that the turning point wasn't the meditation retreat or the books he later read, but that single choice to breathe instead of break, an act so small, it was almost invisible. But it changed everything. Buddhism teaches that every moment contains the seed of awakening, and it is our awareness that waters it. Each choice we make is like placing a stone on a path. With one mindful act, we begin paving a road that leads somewhere new. The reason many never change is not because they can't, but because they underestimate the power of the present moment. We keep waiting for the right time, forgetting that the present is the only time we truly have. When we learn to meet this moment as it is, not resisting, not rushing, we begin to harness the quiet power that lives beneath the surface of our daily lives. Small shifts, like choosing gratitude over complaint, a walk instead of another hour on the couch, a soft response instead of a harsh one, these are not insignificant. They are sacred. They accumulate. They steer us. Change is not about becoming someone entirely new, but remembering who we are beneath the habits, roles, and fears. When we bring mindfulness to the present, we begin to unravel years of automatic living. In Buddhism, this is the essence of liberation, awakening not through escape, but through presence. As you age, it's easy to feel that it's too late to begin again. But the truth is, it is never too late to pause, to choose, to shift. The past may seem fixed, but the future is always open, and it is shaped by the choices we make now. One kind word can heal a broken relationship. One act of forgiveness can release decades of pain. One moment of stillness can reveal the peace you've been searching for. The power lies not in how much time you have, but in how deeply you live the time that remains. So, if you're waiting for a sign that it's time to change, this is it. Not through force, but through gentleness. Not with urgency, but with honesty. Let your next breath be the beginning. Let this moment be enough. Because in this very instant, right now, you hold the power to reshape your path, and in doing so, reclaim your life. As we arrive at the final reflection in this journey, we come to Lesson 6, why kindness, quiet, consistent, and intentional, may be the most powerful legacy you leave, a reminder that our most enduring impact is often not built on grand gestures or achievements, but on the gentle, unnoticed acts of compassion we offer day by day. In Buddhist teachings, this quality of kindness, known as metta, is not merely a passing sentiment or an occasional deed. It is a deliberate, steady commitment to the well-being of others without expecting anything in return. It is expressed not only in times of ease but especially in times of difficulty, when we respond with warmth rather than irritation, with understanding rather than judgment. In our fast-moving world, kindness can seem too simple to be powerful, yet Buddhism teaches that it is one of the highest forms of wisdom. There is a compelling story from the life of Venerable Sariputta, one of the Buddha's chief disciples, known equally for his intellect and his deep humility. In a monastery where many monks were engaged in deep meditation and study, there lived an elderly monk who had become frail, slow in his practice, and often sick. Some began to see him as a burden, no longer useful to the Sangha. But Sariputta quietly began to care for him without announcement or pride. He brought him food, cleaned his robes, sat by him during long nights of pain, and never once spoke a word of complaint. When other monks questioned why someone as wise as Sariputta would take time away from his own practice to care for someone so seemingly insignificant, the Buddha responded with praise. He told the Sangha that Sariputta's quiet service was not a distraction from the path, but the very embodiment of it. True wisdom, he said, is not only found in scriptures or deep meditations, but in the way we respond to suffering, especially when no one is watching. Later, when Sariputta passed away, monks and laypeople alike wept not for the loss of a great teacher alone, but for the gentleness he had brought into their lives, for the way he made them feel safe, seen, and deeply cared for. His legacy was not carved in stone or written in books, but etched in the hearts of those he had quietly uplifted. This kind of kindness does not require wealth, fame, or status. It does not shout or seek credit. It is shown when we choose patience over anger, generosity over pride, or a gentle word over indifference. It arises when we give someone our full attention, help without needing thanks, or forgive even when the world says we don't have to. And the beauty of intentional kindness is that it multiplies. One act of compassion can ripple outward in ways we never see. A smile given to a stranger may lift their spirits just enough to keep them going. A listening ear offered in silence might prevent someone from feeling completely alone. In this way, the smallest gestures become timeless gifts. As we age and reflect, many of us wonder what we will be remembered for. Rarely do we look back and cherish the titles we held or the possessions we owned. What stays with us, and with others, are the moments we were kind, when we made others feel safe, valued, and loved. In Buddhism, it is taught that the measure of a life is not how much we gained, but how often we chose to ease suffering where we could. Each moment becomes a choice, to be cold or compassionate, to judge or understand, to withdraw or reach out. And over time, those choices build a legacy, not one that fades with time, but one that lives on in the hearts we've touched. So let your kindness be steady and sincere. Let it flow not from obligation, but from intention. Speak gently. Help quietly. Love fully. Because in the end, the world may forget what you said or did, but it will never forget how your presence made it feel. And in that memory, your spirit continues, quietly radiant, endlessly kind. And now, we've come to the end of this reflective journey, a quiet pause after walking together through the tender truths of patience, simplicity, presence, love, change, and kindness. If these gentle teachings have touched even a small part of your heart, let them settle within you like a soft wind stirring the surface of still water. The beauty of these lessons is not only in hearing them, but in living them, moment by moment, breath by breath. In a world that often rushes, distracts, and pulls us away from our center, may this time spent together remind you of the deeper rhythm, one that flows slowly, wisely, and with purpose. And now, I'd love to invite you into this circle of calm connection. In the comments, please share a piece of your journey, a moment where life slowed down and taught you something, a memory of quiet love in later years, or even a small change that transformed your path. What have you learned about yourself through stillness or simplicity? Has kindness, given or received, ever changed your life? Your voice, your experience, your story matters here. Let's create a space where we all feel seen, heard, and supported, wherever we are in life. I read every comment, and your words may gently guide someone else through a season of doubt or sorrow. If this video offered even a brief moment of peace or insight, please consider giving it a like. It helps others find this message too. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Mindful Pathway Media, where you'll find more calm reflections, Buddhist wisdom, and heartfelt encouragement each week. Your support helps keep this space alive, growing, and grounded in purpose. Share this video with someone who might need it, a friend moving through change, a loved one in search of meaning, or perhaps just someone who's forgotten how worthy they are without doing more, being more, or rushing through life. Together, we are building more than a channel. We're cultivating a sanctuary for quiet transformation. So thank you, truly, for being part of this shared journey. Take a deep breath. Carry these truths gently with you. And know that even the smallest acts of mindfulness, honesty, and compassion begin to shift the world, one moment at a time.